All right, on tonight's episode of Python Papi, we're back inside our generative AI course, and we're still building our sequel or our text-to-sequel model. Tonight is going to be a lot, so let me dive right in without too much explaining. Let me show you exactly what we went over. So first and foremost, here's our Google Colab. Like I said, we were building everything in our Colab, and everything was going through successfully, but we did run into a hiccup. So one of the things that I tried to do initially was I tried to add. Let me go ahead and show you. So this app.py file here, this file actually is going to hold our SQL file, our SQL.py file, what our actual code is. What I try to do is I try to add the SQL or the SQLite file to it with the tables and everything in it side by side. That didn't work. I tried to add another write file right underneath with the SQL file separately. That worked, but hardly. It still wasn't picking up the database. It was saying that the database already existed. No, that's the problem I'm having now. When I try to put the database or put the SQLite file underneath this one here, this app.py file, it was running into the problem saying that it wasn't reading the database. So I decided to add the SQ or the SQLite file directly to this one here, and I'll show you exactly what goes on when we do that. So this is our app.py file, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about in a second when I click on it. So you can see here, this is our file here. So this is the one that's going to go in the app.py file. This is the SQL, the SQL file, the regular one. This is the one that's going inside the app.py file. This is our project file, the one we're going to run. This is the SQLite file that I was trying to run along with it that has our table instructions and everything in it. As you can see here, this is the one I try to run in it. So when I tried to run this SQL file side by side with it, like I said, it was running an error. Then I tried to run it underneath as another file, opening up a whole different .py file, a SQL.py file, and it wasn't picking up the file. Everything ran congruently. Everything ran together nice. It still wasn't picking up the file though. So what I'm going to do is I started a whole new file over here. And I labeled this one here. Here's my file that I just created. Or my collab file here. So this is how I'm going to run it over here. This is everything I need to run it over in the collab. You can see I labeled it collab file. So this is both of the files put together. I'm gonna copy that. I know you can't see it, but this is just going to be the SQL file and the SQLite file compiled together, so I can put it all on this one app line here and run it as a whole. That should be everything. Let me make sure everything is lined up correctly. No, it's not as usual. So let me get in there and do that. So everything is lined up correctly now. So we're going to run it like this. So let me get in there and start running it so I can show you what we're working with. I can't see it. Let me close this up. So we're done with this part for now. We're done with all of that. Let me move this over. Okay. Let's do that. Start generating that now. Why is there another? Did I create this by mistake? Let me cancel this out really quickly because this extra table wasn't supposed to be here. This is what we're running here. Let's do that. Let's open that up. Hopefully we can fit this video in the window. I think it's a 10-minute limit. So we're gonna do that. Put that there and click. Now let me show you. I didn't even enter any queries or anything yet. I haven't entered any queries in. Let me show you what's going to happen now that I combine both files together. And remember, this is the SQL file and the SQLite file that I have all here under this app.py file. So it's all one long file. As you can see, the separation of both inputs. So here's the error running now. So no such table student exists. That's not supposed to happen. It ran differently last time. What's going on with this one here? And actually ran differently. Why is this running like this now? Let me see. Execute table info. Let me try to run this again. 1 second. Or let me just unexecute that. Because this was the problem right here. I had to actually comment this one out to run it initially. So now let's see what happens now. When I uncommon it out, is it going to pick up bad gateway? It's not bad gateway. It just does that. As you can see, and it's picking back up again. What's going to happen this time? Okay, so now it's running again. I uncommented it back out, the one that was giving us an issue. But as you can see, I didn't even enter any queries in yet, but it populated our information and it populated our database. See, our student database. So it populated everything. I didn't even enter any query. This table was created because we uncommented this line out here, the cursor dot execute table info. So it's going to execute this table info, and this table info is going to take this information here. It's all a chain reaction. So everything gets populated over here without me even making any queries yet. So now I'm going to go ahead and try to make a query. I'm going to show you live here, and then it's going to say which student is in the multitasking section. So we're gonna do that, and it should say here student database already exists, or the student table already exists, because it's picking up this one here that we just created. So now that we actually have access to the database and we can see that everything is connected, we have access to it over here. We just have to figure out how to separate the two so we can get this information stored in the database without actually displaying it and it being picked up as a separate database so we can have access to it in the query. So that's where we're at with that. We're getting closer and closer on solving the Google Colab issue. But on an unrelated note, or on another related note, I did figure out the problem. Well, not the problem, but I did figure out how to get the Streamlit running in our VS Code, and I am able to generate to the point where exactly the instructor is. In the Google Colab in this version here, the instructor is past this. He's able to run it. He's just not able to get a response when he generates his code. That's where I'm at with the VS Code. Let me just show you so I can show you so I don't eat up too much time trying to explain. So SQL.py. So I was able to get the Streamlit working in the VS Code, and we're able to do the same exact thing in our Colab now inside of our VS Code. And as you can see, it's easier. It generates, it goes directly to the Streamlit. I don't have to do anything extra. The database is already connected, and everything is ready to go in the VS Code. So actually, the VS Code is a lot further along than the Google Colab. As you can see, this is the Google Colab version. This is the VS Code version. Everything's working. You can see it's seamless running side by side. Everything pops up. I'm going to pass the query now, see what happens. So I'm going to pass the same query that I passed to the Google Colab version. Let's see what happens. So which student is in the multitasking section? And bam, you can see this one is actually working, it's generating, it's populating, and the response is. So this one actually is working, our VS Code version. It's actually working. The only difference is we can't display the answers that we're getting. So yeah, this one is exactly done. I'm gonna leave the VS Code version alone. I'm not gonna touch this one. I'm gonna start working on this one when we pick back up with the instructor. I'll probably take another day or two to try to figure out what's going on in the Colab. And again, if I can't get it in the Colab, we're just gonna switch over to the VS Code and actually start working on it from that aspect. But again, we are getting very close with the Google Colab. Like I said, we came a long way. We just have to figure out what's going on with the database and how to get it read once instead of getting it read repeatedly, so we don't get this error right here. But of course, I will keep you posted every step of the way. But for now, this is the Python Papi. You guys stay Gucci.